Christmas is a time for family and friends, and many of us have our different ways of traveling to see such family and friends. Washington Irving described one of his travels, and especially of the passengers he traveled with. The Christmas Coach by Washington Irving. There's nothing in England that excites a more delightful spell over my imagination than the lingerings of the holiday customs of former times. Of all the old festivals, however, that of Christmas awakens the strongest and most heartfelt associations. There's a tone of solemn and sacred feeling that blends with our conviviality and lifts the spirits to a state of hallowed and elevated enjoyment. The services of the church about this season are extremely tender and inspiring. They dwell on the beautiful story of the origin of our faith and the pastoral scenes that accompanied its announcement. It is a beautiful arrangement that this festival, which commemorates the announcement of the religion of peace and love, has been made the season for gathering together of family connections and calling back the children of a family who have launched forth in life and wandering once more to assemble around the hearth. In the course of a December tour in Yorkshire, I rode for some distance in one of the public coaches on the day preceding Christmas. The coach was crowded, both inside and out, with passengers who, by their talk, seemed principally bound to the mansions of relations and friends to eat the Christmas dinner. It was loaded also with hampers of game and baskets and boxes of delicacies and hares hanging dangling in the long ears of the coachman's box, presents from distant friends for the impending feasts. I had 3 fine rosy-cheeked schoolboys as my fellow passengers inside, full of buxom health and manly spirits which I have observed in the children of this country. They were returning home for the holidays in high glee and promising themselves a world of enjoyment. It was delightful to hear the gigantic plans of pleasure of the little rogues and the impractical feats they were to perform during their 6 weeks' emancipation from the abhorred thraldom of book, birch, and pedagogue. They were full of anticipations of meeting the family and the household, down to the very cat and dog, and of the joy they were to give their little sisters by the presents which their pockets were crammed, but the meaning to which they seemed to look forward with the greatest impatience was the bantam, which I found to be a pony, and, according to their talk, possessed a few more virtues than any steed since the days of Beelzebub. How he could trot, how he could run, and then such leaps as he would take! There was not a hedge in the country that he could not clear. They were under the particular guardianship of the coachman, to whom, whenever an opportunity presented, they addressed a host of questions, and pronounced him one of the best fellows in the whole world. Indeed, I could not but notice the more than ordinary air of bustle and importance of the coachman, who wore his hat a little to one side, and had a bunch of Christmas greens stuck in the buttonhole of his coat. He was always a personage full of mighty care and business, and he is particularly so during this season, having so many commissions to execute in consequence of the great interchange of presents. Perhaps the impending holiday might have given a more than usual animation to the country, for it seemed to me that as if everyone was in good looks and good spirits. Game, poultry, and other luxuries of the table were in brisk circulation in the villages. The grocers, butchers, and the fruiterers' shops were thronged with customers. The housewives were stirring briskly about, putting their dwellings in order, and the glossy branches of holly with their bright red berries began to appear at the windows. The scene brought to mind an old writer's account of Christmas preparations. Now capons and hens, beside turkeys, geese, and ducks, with beef and mutton, must all die, for in 12 days a multitude of people will not be fed with a little. Now plums and spice, sugar and honey, squared among pies and broth. Now or never must music be in tune, for the youth must dance and sing to get them a beat, while the aged sit by the fire. The country maid leaves half her market and must be spent again if she forgets to pack cards on Christmas Eve. Great is the contention of holly and ivy, whether masters or dames wear the breeches. Dice and cards benefit the butler, and if the cook do not lack wit, he will sweetly lick his fingers.